Hey everyone, welcome to Story Trading special VIP meeting. We're going to have the CEO of Airgain here. Before we do that, quick disclaimer, Story Trading is not an investment advisor. That goes for any of our presenters unless stated otherwise. Investing in securities involves significant risk of loss. We are recording this meeting. It will be shown exclusively to our VIP members for about 7 days, at which point we'll go ahead and publish it up on social media. So tonight we do have CEO Jacob Suen here. Jacob, how do you pronounce your last name, by the way?
Suen.
Suen. All right. So
Perfect.
Jacob Suen here is going to be presenting Airgain. The ticker symbol AIRG. Last trade $7.41. Market cap of $76 million. And before I turn it over to him, just want to show you a little bit perspective of the chart. This is the chart really long term, I guess, since they've been public 6 years. And you can see there, it's about the support level that it's been holding for 7 years. 1, 2, 3. It's about the 4th time it's there. So as part of our due diligence in the community, we're interviewing here the CEO so we can get a better idea on these 4 pillars: sentiment, fundamentals, catalysts, and technicals. That's how we analyze stocks at Story Trading. We don't look at just the technical chart. We don't look at just the fundamentals. But by doing crowdsourced research and interviewing CEOs, we get to understand the big picture. Sentiment, catalyst, fundamentals, technicals all together tells us the story behind the trade. So with that, I'm going to turn it over again. Jacob, thanks for joining us. If you could give us an introduction to your company, we'll get started there, and then we'll head into a Q&A session.
Excellent. Thank you, Ben. Once again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. So let me go ahead and share my screen so I can go through the slides about my company. Are you able to see it? Is everybody able to see it? Okay.
Yep, you see it.
So I'll quickly go through the background. Airgain was founded in 2003, went IPO on NASDAQ 2016. The company is headquartered in San Diego and have global presence across 3 continents: North America, Europe, and Asia. We have about 145 employees across the globe. And as you know, we're a technology company and pride ourselves as the innovators. When it comes to wireless technology, we have more than 250 patents and applications currently. Giving you some data about last year, although we expect this year to be substantially better. On the sales side, I think that as well as the gross margin, and we have a pretty strong balance sheet with no debt. And I'll move on to the next slide. Let me see. Okay, I'll quickly go through the management team. As you can tell, it's a pretty impressive executive team we have here at Airgain. And it's not been updated yet. We actually just hired our new CFO last Monday. And that really completes the senior executive team. My background, it's been with Motorola, Paradigm, who used to be a part of Lucent Technologies and AT&T. And I've been with the company for more than 15 years. So I really brought in the first, closing the first opportunity here at Airgain and help expanding the market growth for the company, and became the CEO 2019, August of 2019. So 3+ years since I took on the CEO position. And with me, joining my team, Mohamed Sabahi, ex Broadcom, TI, SMC Network, been in several key positions throughout his career. He launched my product and marketing today. And then Dr. Ali Setri, who joined us about 1.5 years ago. He has many years of experience in Intel, 18+ actually, and was really the head of their 5G millimeter wave initiative. Himself has more than 100 IPs. And then Scott, who joined Airgain as a part of the NemberLink acquisition. He was founder there. He's been running my global sales. And although he expect to be retired at some point. And then last but not least, Victor Blair, who runs my global VP of operation, another newcomer in a way. He's been with the company for about 1 year, and his husband done a tremendous job, and with 30+ years of executive leadership in electronic industry and especially with running company operations. So a top-notch guy. And then last week we hired Michael Albez. He came from Kowu, who's also a public company, multi-billion company. He was the VP of Finance there for a number of years, and he prior to that he was a part of Connection System. So we now have a really strong leadership team here at Airgain. And I'll quickly go through some of the market size here. So 2016, when we went IPO, we were really being seen as a consumer connected home antenna component company. And that represents about $780 million as far as the TAM is concerned. And that's what I call our foundational market for a number of years. But we know that in order for us to grow substantially, we need to go into other market. And that's where I took over as the CEO. And I started to identify the growth market in enterprise and automotive. You can see that much more lucrative. And we also identify some of the sub-markets we want to be focusing on. And in addition, I also transitioned the company from a pure component embedded company now to a system company, solution company, where we're selling a complete system, complete solution, not only getting the hardware, but also the software. In some cases, we're getting recurring revenue as a result of that. And that's the total. Now we've got more than 15 billion TAM. And people always ask me, TAM is great. What about your SAM? The one you can actually, attack within your product. And that's why we show a SAM number, the reachable market, as we call it. The consumer, roughly about 330 million, and then the auto and then the enterprise, all in all, represents $7.6 billion SAM. And here's a slide showing how we have became as a system solution company. Back in 2020, you see that 77% of our overall revenue was our embedded component in the consumer, in-home wireless area. Now in 2022, you're seeing that, you're seeing the pie chart. It now represents a much smaller portion. Even though the business is still growing from 21 to 22, but because how we are able to accelerate our growth within the enterprise and automotive, it now represents a much smaller piece. As you can also see, the consumer, the enterprise market, it's growing rapidly, spearheaded by our IoT segment. And what we do, you see that we actually have three major product brands: embedded, integrated, and antenna plus. In the embedded place, that's where the traditional foundational antenna components, as well as our NimbeLink modems. Those are the product that needs to go into someone else's device. They cannot be able to function by themselves alone. Whereas the integrated brand, we actually have these active component or products, not components anymore, but systems that we sell in, such as the vehicle networking devices, asset tracking systems with software, and also our private label products. Those are active systems that we're selling in the integrated brand. And then we also have standalone passive antenna systems that we're selling into mass transportation, smart utility applications, such as the vending machines, kiosks, just to name a few. So those are the three major product brands we now have in the company. And here's some of the application that we really apply with our consumer, automotive, and enterprise. Most likely you actually have our product in your house today. You may not see our product. So if you have a Comcast Xfinity, you have our product. If you have a Spectrum who came from Charter, you have Airgain product inside. Or you got DirecTV in your house, you have our product inside. Or likely you have some kind of gateway or some kind of router, likely you have our product inside. And even with the buses, if you go to public transportation, likely you actually have our product, in many of the transportations that you use today, whether it be bus, trucks, etc. And then on the enterprise market, we are heavily focused on the IoT space. IoT is big, and we only have a small portion of that, but we do see a lot of growth in that space as well, including EV charging, a big market, right, that we're foreseeing, and then Wi-Fi hotspots, right, fixed wireless access. Those are the stuff that we are really seeing high growth in the foreseeable future. And here, just kind of give you some idea about who are the partners we're working with. And this is only a smaller list of what we actually have. You can see we're working with hardware companies such as Aruba, Qualcomm, Cradlepoint, Intel, MaxLinear, Qualcomm, Telet, Sierra Wireless, Mobix Labs, etc. And on the software side, we're working with companies such as Bosch, Flux Safety, AppConnect, Platform Science, Smart Logistics, just to name a few. And then the end customers, we work very closely with carriers such as AT&T, Charter, Comcast, China Telecom, T-Mobile, Verizon, Deutsche Telekom, Virgin Media, LGI. So those are the customers we work with very closely. And given the amount of time we have, I'll quickly go through some of the opportunities, such as the HPE. We have public safety. We are now working on the next generation product for a much bigger TAM. We talk about 4 billion plus. That's carrier agnostic, and we can actually build that product globally. Okay. And then the IoT space, we also have a number of products such as the asset tracker that actually provide end-to-end asset visibility. Ours is cellular based, so it can really help support indoor, outdoor, and in transit. And the kind of the problem that we solve, including temperature excursions, helping people not only tracking the device, but be able to track unexpected delays. It can also solve a lot of compliance issues, and also it can track, so it can help reducing loss or misplaced inventory. Okay. What we win, first and foremost, we are a technology company. And I would say we pride ourselves as an RF expert. So whether it be hardware, whether it be software, it all comes back to why are people using Airgain? It's because of our RF expertise, right, in our space. And we're focusing on high growth markets, 5G, Wi-Fi 6E, IIoT, asset tracking. And we simply, make complex systems simpler. So when things get more complex, that's where Airgain really shines. We solve complex problems. And one thing we do is that we connecting the world. We are trying to be able to help people optimizing their wireless coverage, and that's what we do. And we have shifted from an exclusively embedded antenna company now to a fully integrated product solution company with a complete value chain. And here are some of the growth driver. You can see that this year and then next year, where we were looking to grow in all 3 markets with much broader product portfolio, especially with 5G and in IoT space. So the key takeaway: a very seasoned executive team. We are now shifting the company from just pure components to a full value chain provider. I really think that with the expansion of 5G and Wi-Fi 6E, it really helped Airgain, because that fits right into our core competency as a company that solve complex problems. And we got really strong customers demand. And with the supply chain recovery, we expect our next year to be a great year in the foreseeable future as well. And finally, we simply know RF. We make things simpler. With that being said, I'll go ahead and open for any questions you may have, and turn it back to you, Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to keep my questions pretty high level, and then we got, I know, some detailed questions from at least one person in the audience here I'm going to turn it over to, but I really want to focus first on the macro economy, because obviously you can see what's going on with the stock market right now. Almost doesn't matter what a company's doing now, like everyone's getting crushed, right? So, so let's see if we can buck the trend. If you're a company that can buck that market trend, there are a few that are bucking the trend. So first I want to talk about inflation. and what impact that's having on consumer demand, which may be impacting your sales possibly, and then what impact that may be having on your margins. So got that inflation and its impact on your margins, and inflation and impact on basically revenue because of possibly softened consumer demand.
Yes, great questions, Ben. So far, we have not seen any kind of impact regarding the demand as a result of inflation. So we're still seeing our customers waiting and wanting to get products ASAP. Now, on the consumer, in-home wireless space, we rely heavily on the service providers because we're only selling them the components. And in that space, I think that they are able to share some of the burden on the inflation, and so far it's not hurting our gross margin at all on the consumer in-home wireless side. We're seeing some impact on the enterprise side. I think the demand is still high because we're focusing mostly on commercial customers. Not as much impact, but there's some, and a part of the result of that could be the supply shortage issue. And we're also seeing minimal impact on the automotive side. I think it's because of our customer space. We're selling into utilities company, first responders, governments, vehicles. So far we have not seen major impact with our automotive market neither. So overall now, inside the company, certainly we need to combat some of the inflation, such as have to make some salary adjustment, etc., to employees. But we've been able to weather the storm, so to speak. As you can see, we continue to grow our business, also being profitable as well. Okay,
so basically we shouldn't be expecting any big negative surprises because of the macroeconomy next time you report your earnings.
Yeah, again, I'll stick to what I said in the last earnings call, and we feel very comfortable to deliver the kind of result that we forecasted back in the last earnings call.
Okay, all right, good. And when is your next earnings call?
That will be November 10th.
Okay. November 10th. All right. So you got right to my next question about profitability. So the other thing that is very clear that we're seeing in the stock market, especially when it comes to microcap companies, is the environment around the need to raise capital, right? Any kind of, especially smaller company that would have a need to raise capital, basically that they're not cash flow positive yet, or they don't have a path flow to cash flow positive. We're finding that these companies are getting absolutely clobbered in the stock market because of the higher interest rate environment. So what can you tell us about, I mean, your plans in to avoid such a fate, right? Because if you have to go out there and raise money, I mean, it's going to be, the sharks are going to be out there. They'll be shorting your stock. They'll be asking for warrants. It's going to be tough raising money in this market environment. So what are you doing to avoid that fate right now?
Well, Airgain is in a really unique situation, in a really ideal situation, because the companies has no debt. Yeah, so, and also we still got $9+ million cash in the bank. We have another $4 million of line of credit. And we also still got inventory that we are currently carrying that we should be able to reduce substantially in turning into cash in the upcoming quarters as things get better on the supply shortage issue. And the company is making money. So not only are we not have to take money out of our bank, we're actually going to be able to add money into the bank. So
what do you mean? Can you clarify when you say making money, right? Making money like cash flow positive making money, or GAAP earnings or non-GAAP earnings? What do you mean when you say you're making money?
What I mean by that is looking into the adjusted EBITDA. So non-GAAP. So non-GAAP really help you evaluate the health of the company, because GAAP, you understand, there's a lot of the equity portion that come into the equation. But from a non-GAAP perspective, from a adjusted EBITDA perspective, this is where how much cash you really need to run the company can we, and that's really, can we increasing, putting more cash into the bank? That's, and from that perspective, I think that we're going to be able to continue to do so. Now, from quarter to quarter, you may see some fluctuation because of the outstanding AP or AR, right? So you're seeing that, but overall, you can see that we are adjusted EBITDA positive last quarter, and I mentioned the last earnings call that we expect to be EBITDA positive again in Q3 in the foreseeable future, and that should give you the assurance that the company do not need any cash from outside, unless we're doing any kind of M&A. That would be the only, when that happens, we will need to raise some cash for a bigger deal. But other than that, as far as the company, running the company, we don't anticipate needing any money anytime soon. And we're running the company, really looking after our OpEx, etc. As you can see, right? While we're going the top line, we've actually been holding our OpEx very steady.
That's good. That's what I like to hear. When a CEO comes out and makes a claim, we don't need to raise any money. Like, that's very important in this market environment right now. All right, so we have earnings coming up November 10th. That's, let's see, 2.5 weeks from now. Any other big catalysts that we should be aware of in the next, I don't know, 1 to 3 quarters?
Well, I think as I indicated previously, the company now is in a different position. In the last couple of years, we really, improve our product portfolio. We, and most recently, we also announcing our fixed wireless access system, doing Mobile World Congress in Las Vegas. I think that's several weeks ago. And we expect that trend to continue, that you're expecting some innovative product coming out, I would say early next year. And that should help fuel the company's future growth. But even right now with the product we got, we are now into many different, new markets. And then with the recovery, on the supply shortage issue, I think COVID is slowly behind us. I expect things to get better, and I think that the company is well positioned for the foreseeable future.
Let me ask you something that just came to mind now. It wasn't on my notes, but earlier I showed everyone a chart where the stock has gone up and down over like 7 years, and always goes back to the base where it's at right now. So maybe that means it's a good time to buy the stock. I don't know. But it always reaches that peak and comes back down. Can you speak to that historically? Why are you reaching a barrier in your growth and then coming back down? And what's it going to take to change that, for the company to kind of break out and reach an inflection point and get to like steady growth, so you can become a growth company rather than a cyclical company, which is what the stock chart is showing right now?
Yeah, look, I control what I can control, and that's my job, is to get the team focused on execution. My job is to make sure that we have a fundamentally sound strategy and a good vision. And I really think that since I took over as the CEO, I think that the team now, the company now, fully aware of what we need to do. Now, I think that last year we actually hit a all-time high, and that's part of the reasons because of the expectation of how we can go attack the new market, and rightfully so. But I think that the impact of the pandemic, the supply shortage, really in the second half was the one that really lost a lot of people's confidence, right? Because now the gross margin, the revenue wasn't growing like we were hoping for. And I really think that now we're back to where, I think that we're able to recover from that in a big way, because all along we're able to get through. But what's unique about now is that not only are we focusing on growth, but being profitable as well, right? And that's why I started focusing the team that, hey, now we've done a lot of investment in the last two years. And now we're going to turn those investments into growth and into profitable growth. And that's what we're focusing the team on. And that's what I'm focusing on. It's about execution.
I got that. I'm going to push a little bit harder, because I want to understand what's going to be different going forward compared to the past. Because I'm looking now at a chart on my screen as enterprise value, right? So for the last 5 years, basically the enterprise value has been the same. It's gone up and down, but it's at like $65 million enterprise value, right? So I guess my question is, before you were the CEO, was there anything you discovered by, maybe you discovered it before you accepted the job, or maybe after you came on? Is there something you discovered that, hey, this is what was stopping the company from growing, and now we're going to do this differently, so we'll have a different outcome in the future? Is there anything you can point to?
Yeah, absolutely. Great questions, by the way. So prior to me taking on the CEO, since as I mentioned, I've been with the company for many years, and I really thought that the company has been a one-trick pony, focusing on doing a great, phenomenal job on the in-home wireless space, working really closely with the tier 1 service providers. We are absolutely the benchmark. And a couple of things I know is that we never got our value, or we never got our proper ROI, even though we're making 50-some points, but we only steal a very small portions of the overall bond. In fact, we're making the difference. I really don't think of us as a hardware company, because what we've done with those companies was really our consultation, right? And now, and that's where I'm thinking that how do we upsell? Even with same companies, we are meeting with senior executive team within those companies. We're meeting with the C-level guys at Charter, Comcast, right? SVPs, right? Why do they value Airgain? Definitely not just try to buy some, small component antenna from Airgain. The reason why is they understand the value that Airgain really help them improve their system. Yeah, we only get, a 2 or 3% of the overall bond. And that's where I say, what, we need to pivot. We need to now take advantage of our stickiness. How do we build, system product that's going to be 10, even 100 times the multiple of what we used to sell them on them from an ASP perspective, right, to justify that. The other thing is that going to a newer market. So we're not going to be a one-trick pony. That's why we start to go up to the enterprise and in the automotive. And for me, you're always looking for M&A, because it's build versus buy, right? And how do we grow quickly? Not only do you have to do it organically, you need to look for inorganic opportunities that can really accelerate your growth, which we've done that with the NimbeLink acquisition at the beginning of last year. And you saw the success we're able to create with that NimbeLink acquisition. And part of the reason why our stock went up substantially, we actually were able to demonstrate that we turned that business, accretive from the get-go and improve both the gross margin and the revenue. Now, because of the macro environment, we took a hit. We also have to take responsibility for one thing, which is the launch of the Airgain Connect HPUE. So for me, there were macro issues that was beyond our control. I thought that we managed well, but the one thing that we actually owning it was the launching of the Airgain Connect HPUE for the first responders. We worked really closely with AT&T FirstNet. And all the problems, we thought that was gonna be a successful launch, but the market and the customers, we learned that was limited, right? So as a result of that, it did not go as good as we were hoping for, but we learned a lot. Clearly, people value the fact that you can improve the coverage, but people are not willing to pay at a high premium, and also I think that was not marketing the way it should be. I say FirstNet, 911 product. So all in all, I think as a result of that, there were a number of factors, but definitely that one, we should have done a better job. And I think a number of things, the supply shortage on the consumer, what we saw on the HPUE that attributed to the stock. But for me, the overall fundamentals of the company is getting better every day, and as I described to you, and it's about us executing and make sure that the next product we're delivering, we learn so much, and then make sure that we're going to be able to actually expand, our customer space and learn. Like I said, being service provider agnostic. So I hopefully I answer your questions in a much better way.
Great, thank you, Jacob. I really appreciate it. All right, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Sanjay. Sanjay, you there?
Yes, I am, Ben.
Yeah. So Sanjay is an awesome colleague here at StoryTrading. He has a bunch of more detailed questions. This is actually familiar with the company from before, so we're lucky to have him on board. Sanjay, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Jacob, thank you for coming over. Thank you for your presentation.
Hello,
So,
Sanjay. Yes.
hello. So I just want to continue where Ben and you left, which was about your switch from being an embedded antenna company, let's say a couple of years ago, to sort of a full system company that you are right now, right? And here is I just have a slight pushback there. So when I looked at you guys a couple of years ago, I could understand that, you have expertise in embedded antennas. You knew the home environment. You had integration labs, right? So you could really test the effectiveness and efficacy of antennas that not many people could do, right? I mean, home environment is very complex. There's a lot of electronics. We have all sort of protocols in home environment, Wi-Fi, Zigbee, and whatnot, right? Bluetooth, for example. But when you move to system, what I'm struggling with is, what's your unique differentiator there, right? What do you bring to the table? Because when I begin to look at fleets, when I begin to look at IoT, when I begin to look at, automotives and 5G, there are a lot of companies that already do that, right? So why should any company, any of your clients work with you when they already have so many other options?
Great questions, Sanjay. It gets back to what I said earlier. We solve complex issues, right? So, for example, on our Airgain Connect product, right? We own a lot of IP, and I'll just kind of share that one example. That our IP with the Airgain Connect is the ability to be able to integrate a system that can go up to on top of a vehicle. People try, never was able to do it, in a way that's actually, because you got a lot of issues you got to resolve, heat issues on top of the roof. You got to deal with all of the interference with the different wireless technology, right? And again, we were able to come up with a product that can solve that. And with the uniqueness of our product in the future as well is that we're going to be able to eliminate all the cabling to go from the top of the vehicle to the back of the trunk, right? Because right now you have GPS cable, you have LTE, and you have Wi-Fi, right? And Wi-Fi, you got 5G, you got 2.4G, so you got a lot of wiring going all over the place. And we're able to come up with a system that can solve that likely may only have one Ethernet cable coming out. That reducing the headache of the wiring, ease of installation, and all the cabling costs as well. And I'm just giving you one example. That's what's unique about Airgain. Airgain is an innovator, right? We innovate and see what we do with the with the 5G, the C-band, right? We partner with companies such as Mobix Labs that develop solutions not able to cover C-band, but actually we say it's a future proof because we also can support millimeter wave in the future as well. And that's just giving you some example about what's unique about Airgain, right? We're a technology company, we're an innovator, and we're going to continue to innovate, right? So even with some of the IoT product that we have, what's so unique? We actually, our IoT product, one of the issues is the battery life. In our IoT product, we can last 10 to 15 years. Most other companies can last 3 to 5 years, right? And also make it really compact, right? Make it really easy for people to be able to use. And those are the things that sets Airgain apart because, again, go back to our fundamentals. We're like RF experts, right? And we simply can innovate and provide unique product, right? We're not going to provide me-too product. And then also, if you think about the stickiness we have with the service providers, I really earn the trust of the service providers. I think also we got another leg up compared to others. And that's why I think that the company is going to go to place.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. So Jacob, I have some background, let's say, in electronics. Yeah. So I understand. So when you have a communications front end, right, that typically has antennas and amplifiers and your RF filters, I thought the complexity was really in filters that filter out all the unwanted frequencies, right? But it seems antennas are also quite complex. Could you please expand on that? I mean, what is pretty much a passive component, right? So what's so unique about antennas that makes it more complicated in some of the situations you are describing?
Well, look, this is why people really don't appreciate, now they do, about radio frequency, RF, right?
Yep.
It's really black magic. I think the people can understand digital, ones and zeros, that's easy.
Yep.
And the thing about RF, because it's really an environment. So and let's talk about your home, right?
Yep.
Your home, even your furniture, even you people moving, that changing the environment. So that's why you need how do you dealing with multipath, right? And then how do you dealing with what we call propagation delay? All in all, those are the things that's RF. And what's unique about Airgain from the get-go is that we're recognizing that. That's why Airgain was founded based on smart antenna technology. We're understanding that, okay, in order for you to really improve user experience, or what we call be able to get better connectivity, you need to really understand all of that, right? It's at the system level, right? So you think about, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We are really not selling a piece of antenna. What we're really selling is our expertise. The how we getting paid is on the antenna, but that's why people paying us 50+ points for that, right? And the reason being is because we really provide a lot of this expertise consultation, and this is where even as people, and we're not afraid about people copying. People always ask me, are you concerned about people, especially in Asia, in China, they copy, right? A lot of copyers out there. I'm saying, you know what? I'm not concerned at all. The reason being, they can copy the exact antenna, but the device they're going to go into is going to be different. And that's changing the environment. And by placing the antenna differently, you're not going to get the kind of performance you think you're going to get. So the antenna that works really well in a particular device, let's say, works well in a Xfinity, it's not going to work well in a Spectrum, gateway, right? And that's why people don't understand. And even the cable routing, once even the cable routing, do it properly, can improve the performance by 20%. And that's why it's so unique. You have to understand, right? You have to understand about the noise source. You have to understand about even, like I said, the cable routing to avoid, right? Not going over memory as an example, right? So all in all, that's what Airgain bring the value. And that's why we understand all of that. That's why once you develop the system, you can say, hey, we can be the same device, but because of our expertise, I can improve that system, that device now we're giving to customers so much better than the competitors. And that's
Good.
our value, okay?
Yeah. So that's great. So let me ask you, I have a related question. So when a new customers come to you, and they might have a specific application or use case. So do you start from scratch for them, or do you already have some sort of in-house library of antennas that you can start using and maybe customize for that particular use case? I'm trying to understand how that process works.
Yeah, so you talk about the embedded piece, right? Because we also have the finished product, right? You're just gonna buy it, already got all the data sheets and everything, right? Now, you talk about just the embedded piece, especially specifically with antenna, we actually have a huge library. And not only that, we also have a bunch of, not only is this the library of antennas, it's what we call the system over-the-air testing results we've been capturing throughout the number of years. So for example, I know what a 3x3 Broadcom system is supposed to behave. I know exactly what a 4x4 antenna system is supposed to behave. I know the Qualcomm system is supposed to behave. And anything that looks different or not where it needs to be, we can actually tell the customers right away, right? So now if the customers come to us getting some help, we're choosy actually. We don't work with anybody. We only work with people that we feel that justify the ROI, right? And that's why we don't even go work with the tier 2. The names that we do, we only work with the tier 1. So if they come to us, we quickly go through our internal process with the library and everything, and then we can come up with different scenario. And usually they come to us even when they only have some concept. And that's what the Airgain's value really shine. That's where the senior executive, the service provider, they come to Airgain, because they only have an idea. They don't even know where it's going to be. They'll be like, hey, should I do it vertical? Should I do it horizontal? Can I make it cylindrical versus square? You see what I mean? Those are the kind of things they're thinking from a marketing perspective, and say, how feasible is that? I want to make it really scanny. How scanny could I get and still be able to, support several, 3 video at the same time, as an example. And that's the stuff we help them, right? That's what I'm saying. We do a lot of consultation, and that's what's so unique about Airgain, right? That's the value that we bring, right? It's not a piece of hardware. It's our expertise when it comes to RM. And then now we're creating a system, right, that we are now building, Airgain Connect. Now we're taking full advantage of our expertise. And now we're going to creating something on the 5G product. We're going to creating system or module that we now be able to sell to customers that can create that differentiation.
Got it. So I have a simple question. So when you have a device that supports multiple frequency bands, that supports multiple protocols like 5G, 4G, and Bluetooth and other protocols, do you need one antenna for all of them, or do you have to have one antenna for each frequency band?
It's really up to the customers. We can having an antenna design that can cover all the frequency band. Usually that's not ideal, because you're not going to be able to optimizing, all the band at the same time, right? So you maybe have a wideband antenna, so you're not going to be able to really optimizing. But that save costs, right? And that save costs, and potentially you don't need that much space, right? But sometimes your space is limited. Maybe you need to do that, right? Or we can do it more discrete, right? And this is where ideally you want to do it more discrete, especially let's say the 2.4G versus the 5G. Now the 5G, and then now this, that in the Wi-Fi 6E, you can do the 5G and the 6G. Now you can potentially combine those two. But we will not advise to do the 2.4 and the 5G together, although we have done that in a special case where customers really are tight with the spacing, and we can do that, right? And that's where, as you can tell already, I'm giving a lot of consultation, right, before we even go into the detail. And that's the kind of stuff that we customers value us, like you just asked. You asked a lot of great questions already, but we have not even talked about the specifics, and this is what we bring to the value that other people couldn't. Okay.
So let's talk about your end markets, right? So let's start with consumers, right? These are set-top boxes or gateways that go into your home. Now, that was your biggest driver 2 or 3 years ago, right? But I think that growth really slowed down over the last 2 years, partly because of supply chain. But the question I have is, right, and I think Ben asked you that earlier as well. I mean, COVID has receded now, right? It's possible that your clients, your cable companies, had a bump for those set-top boxes because consumers wanted to have a better Wi-Fi at home when they were stuck at home, right, due to COVID. Is that demand satiated, or do you think you still see some significant growth ahead for for devices that go into home?
I do see that growth still gonna expand. Now you talk about set-top box. The set-top box specifically is being replaced by what they call OTT device, and this is the stuff that now, so they say train even putting into the TV. So I see that market really, I would say, eventually gonna winding down, right? But the overall, like the gateway, right, the Wi-Fi 6E, it's growing, right? And I do expect that demand to continue to grow in the foreseeable future, although not big number. I would say 10 to 15% growth year over year. That's what I'm seeing. We're not going to see the 25, 30% growth like we have in the other space. And that was one of the reasons why I want to go after other new market, such as enterprise and automotive for that reason. Okay, but I do see a healthy growth, 10, 15% with the in-home wireless gateways. Okay?
Got it. Okay. So what are the most promising sectors for, let's say, next 5 years? Is it 5G, millimeter wave, automotives, fleet, IoT? Where do you expect the most growth to come from?
You mean for Airgain, or you mean just
So
the
for
market?
Airgain specifically, yeah, we are talking about Airgain, yes.
Yes, I really think that for Airgain, if you talk about 5 years, I really think that the consumer and the enterprise are the two heavily growth area. And the reason I'm saying that, because we talk about a consumer, we've been talking more about the self-selling component. And really with the CBAN product we're developing and with other product we're developing, we are able to go back to the same customers and upsell them, like I said, with a much higher ASP. And with the service providers, it's tough to earn their trust. And we have to earn that throughout the years. They see us as, again, like I said, a absolutely trusted consultant and a partner. So I really think that we're going to be able to leverage our years of a strong relationship to upsell them some of the product, and I really think that that represented a great opportunity as not 2023, but definitely 2024 and beyond, right? On the enterprise side, I really like what we're doing on the IoT space and also the fixed wireless access. I really seeing those two being strong growth market for us, and also have a lot of demand when it comes to connectivity. They all want to do fixed wireless access. You hear a lot of fixed wireless access device out there, but they're having coverage issue. They're having connectivity issue, especially for the outdoor. And this is where we can help. And this is where our product can shine, right? In IoT, I also see it's a huge market. With what we've done with NimbleLink, it's just the beginning. And I look forward to be able to grow our product and look even for other M&A opportunities. So I think the auto, we're really focusing on the aftermarket. We're still gonna do well, but you won't be able to see huge growth until we really get into the OEM side, which right now I would say would be a couple of years away at least. Okay, but right now, what we can do in the enterprise and what we can do with the consumer, those two are long. I really think they're gonna transition the company in a much bigger way. I mean, we're still small. Look at the revenue. Look at what we have. We can easily double that size. In those two markets alone, right? Mm-hmm.
Correct. So Jacob, when it comes to fixed wireless, I mean, your clients would likely be T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T, but all three are very large customers. I mean, they're large companies. They have huge internal R&D departments. Do you think they will still need some assistance from you?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, our R&D team, CTO, just got off the phone with one of the guys you just mentioned. They need help. They're having issues return. And they need help. And the reason why people are returning, it's coverage issue. They're having connectivity issue, right? Ease of installation is an issue, right? And those are the stuff that we can really help them, right? Can you help us develop a product that's easy to install? And also improve the wireless coverage, right? And that's something that plays to our strength. So look, I'll speak as them, even before the gateway, you would think that, hey, they should be able to have the team to be able to solve all of that. Guess what? They're not. That's why they've been using Airgain for years, right? They understand and recognizing the value. And this, big, like you said, service providers, actually, this is where they lack in. The digital ones, they have a lot of people. But when it comes to IM, it's very challenging, right? Like I said, it's black magic. Right, and we really figure that one out given the years of experience we have. Okay.
Oh, that's correct. So let's talk about M&A briefly. I mean, you acquired two companies in last, I think, 2 or 3 years, Antenna Plus and Nimble. Where do you see Airgain over the next 5 years? Do you see more acquisition? Do you see company growing organically, maybe doubling or tripling revenue? Where do you see Airgain and from where you are today?
Great questions, Sanjay. I really see M&A as a part of the Airgain overall strategy. It's an integral part of the Airgain strategy. This is where we continue to plug in the holes. We know some of the sub-markets we want to go after. I think that we're not going to have to go look for another new market. I mean, we're already attacking a market that's already 15 billion, right, in the 10, right, and then almost 8 billion in SAM. So I think that we just got to continue to focusing on the markets we're in today. And M&A has to be a big part of that. How do we grow quickly? You know, and that could be technology, that could be customers, right? That could be helping improve our product portfolio. And this is the area of focus we're going to be, you know, be doing on M&A front. And I really think that the success we demonstrated also show people that we have the right team here in place to how to turn something that was just break even or not profitable to be accretive immediately.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So one more thing is about gross margins. So let's say recently your revenue has gone up, but gross margins hasn't reached the previous levels yet, right? It's still in, you know, late 30s, 38, 39. Is that because you're, I mean, I assume you're selling devices that are relatively low margin compared to what you sold before? Or is there something more? Because one thing that bothers me is your customers are so much bigger than what you are, right? You're dealing with multi-billion-dollar companies with, you know, tremendous negotiating leverage. So how much leverage do you have when you sit down with them and talk about prices? How does that work out?
I think that we have tremendous amount of leverage. And for me personally, I never talk to procurement people. They're not my type of people I talk to. I talk to the marketing people. I talk to the business people. And those are the people who really understand, you know, to get Airgain, you know, dealing with Airgain, you know, is to resolve an issue, right? We are problem solver. You know, whether it be the, you know, the T-Mobile, the AT&T, they have an issue, or they have a connectivity issue, right? They have return issue, and we are the ones who's going to solve that problem for them. So now you tell me how much you should pay me, right? That's my conversation, right? I'm not going to go and talk about the nickel and dime. If you are, I'm not the person you should partner with, right? You go to talk to people in Taiwan, in China. That's who you want to go talk to. But you want to talk to me, I bring the value. I bring you something that other people could not bring you, right? I solve your problem. And for that, you better pay me. And that's what I approach these people, right? And come to me when you have, like I say, like complex issue. If it's something simple, don't come to me. You don't have something basic, right? Go, you know, OTT box. You don't come to me and looking for help on an OTT box. I would say go find something that's cheap. You don't need me, right? But something, you know, you have a connectivity issue. You have a fixed wireless access device out there that's having a lot of connectivity issue. You got customers complaining, returning. You need help, and I can help you. But also expecting a good ROI, you know, for me solving your problem, right? And that's what we're dealing with here. Now, the gross margin, you know, certainly I think that one of the main reasons is because of the supply shortage issue, and we have to pay PPV. And as a result of that you know, that really hurt our overall gross margin. And that's why as things get better, our gross margin should get better and hopefully be able to return to where it was, which was in the mid-40s. So that's that's where you know, really focus the team to help with the gross margin. And also in the last year plus, again, I want to give kudos to my VP of operation. That he has done such a phenomenal job. So some of the things we do, not only is waiting on just the market to get better, we took matters into our own hand. You know, we shut down our Arizona factory and really help improve our OpEx. But to do that, we need to look for viable, reliable contract manufacturers in North America. And he has done just that. He brought in 2 new ones in the last 6 to 9 months. So now, within Airgain, we are completely fabless. We have 8 contract manufacturers globally 2 in China, 2 in Vietnam, and 4 in North America. So we're creating a lot of redundancy, also creating a lot of scalability, and reducing a lot of the costs we used to have to spend on logistics, as an example. So I expect that trend to continue, and I expect that our gross margin to be improved in the upcoming quarters, starting this quarter. Okay.
Okay, great. Jacob, I just have one more question. I think we have taken a lot of your time. Basically, is it possible to get a copy of your capital structure? We just want to make sure we have full count of, RSUs, options, or warrants that you might have on top of, ordinary shares. Will it be possible? Maybe you can send a copy to Ben.
Yeah, you talk about the company or talk about me personally?
No, it's actually about the company. I mean, how many? We want a count of fully diluted shares that includes, the options granted or warrants granted and other things.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna potentially defer that to Thomas, who's my IR partner gateway. They can work with my CFO to give you the information.
Okay.
Because I think that, my CFO will be the better person to be able to obtain those information as long as they're public, which I think they are. So Thomas, do you mind if you work with Michael to get Sanjay? If you don't mind Sanjay or Ben, send Thomas the exact request you want, and then we can circulate and provide them the information as long as it's not confidential.
Yes, I'll absolutely assist with that.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. I'll follow up with you guys on that.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Jacob. It was very helpful, and good luck to you. I hope you guys do well in coming years.
Thank you, Sanjay. And again, I appreciate the time and great questions, by the way. And I really appreciate the questions because that really allow me the opportunity to let the audience know what we do here at Airgain and what's so unique about Airgain. So I really appreciate the great questions you have.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. Those are some great questions, especially at the end there. We got some good insights on the leverage you have, the gross margins. That was really good at the end there. Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of our time over here. Just want to let people know if you're watching this replay on YouTube, you can join StoryTrading community and collaborate with us in the AIRG research group, Airgain research group on WhatsApp. We also just launched our own app. It's in beta, but you can also collaborate there. It's a little, has some bugs and issues as we go through it, but definitely a lot of benefits on the app. You can get a free trial as well. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. So once again, Jacob, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. And I appreciate everyone's time. I know some of you are pretty late your time. So thank you for joining and thank you for your support of Airgain as well. You have a great evening.
Thank you. Yep. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.